Why, hello, friends. Can you believe it? YouTube is actually working. I'm live on time, 1 minute early, actually. I guess I can thank my husband for that. He got it all set up today so we wouldn't have any technical difficulties like we did yesterday. Hope you guys are enjoying the story so far. It's ramping up here. Today we have a chapter on the pig, which Jack desperately does not want to get close to the pig because he kind of figures out that the pig is probably going to become somebody's meal very shortly. So today's chapter is called The Pig Hunt. So I'm guessing the cook is probably going to be looking for where the pig is. And if I remember correctly, I only read this once a year. If I remember correctly, I think it's pretty funny. I think everybody kind of gets involved with trying to hide the pig. What else? So let's get people up to date for those of you who weren't here yesterday. Quick update. So Jack is a young boy of, I can't remember, what did we say, around 12, 11, somewhere around there. He lives with his Aunt Arabella. She used to be very wealthy, lived in a nice home in Massachusetts, and has fallen on hard times, and she's about to lose her home. So he hears about gold in California. He decides to pack his bag and head to California to try to get gold to save Aunt Arabella's home. His butler, aka Praiseworthy, who I like to call a male version of Mary Poppins, finds out about his plan, follows him. They get their money stolen. They sneak on board anyway. And now they're kind of getting used to ship life, becoming friends with everyone. Praiseworthy's constantly figuring out solutions to all their problems. Jack desperately wants Praiseworthy to see him as like a friend and as partners, not as Master Jack, but Praiseworthy will have nothing to do with that. And as we left off, Captain Swain had a big decision. Should he tow a boat that they came across that had become becalmed? And becalmed means it's a complete sailing boat with no motor. There's been no wind for weeks. Disease is rampant on the boat, and they ask for the Lady Wilma to tow them. And Captain Swain has to make the big decision. Should I tow them and we become farther behind in the race, which seems like the right thing to do, or should I just steam ahead like the Sea Raven did? And he decided to tow them, which I was very happy he made that decision. I'm all about making kind decisions. And yeah, so we left off there. So we know the Sea Raven is ahead. We're heading to warmer climates. We're getting closer to the equator. So we know that we're going around the Horn of South America. And as we get lower, then it's going to get colder, then it's going to get warmer. And as we head up the western coast of South America up towards California. All right, so here we go. We have the Great Hornspoon, or by the Great Hornspoon, I guess is the proper. And you all know I need to put on my glasses because I'm blind as a bat without these things these days. Okay, let me get in position here. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. All right, the pig hunt. Jack began to dread Sunday dinners. It was bound to be Good Luck's turn on the menu soon. The pig no longer came trotting after him. It was true, for Jack had tied up the pen to make it escape-proof. But the porker remained on his mind, if not at his heels. And then, with Rio de Janeiro only a few days away, Jack saw the cook leave the galley with a heavy meat cleaver in his hand. And for those of you who don't know what a cleaver is, we're talking like major thick knife where they chop things. This is no joke knife. Good grief, thought Jack. He's going for Good Luck. Without a second thought, Jack went sliding down the nearest ladder. And when the cook arrived at the animal pens, the porker was gone. And so was Jack. It's that boy, he shouted, waving the meat cleaver. Pigs is for eating, not for pets. Soon, even the gold seekers joined in the pig hunt, for the promise of fresh pork made their mouths water. They looked above decks, they looked below decks, they glanced up masts, they glanced down ventilators. The cook himself went searching through the cargo hold where Monsieur Gaunt, a Frenchman, in the rough homespuns of a farmer, was watering his precious grape cuttings. Have you seen a pig down here? Growled the cook. No, monsieur, answered the Frenchman. But rats? Oui, oui. The chase continued. The pig hunters looked everywhere but the captain's stateroom, which was fortunate, for Jack and Good Luck were hiding behind the open door. Not a sound out of you, Jack whispered. The pig, snorting out of sheer love, rubbed his ever-fattening side against Jack's leg. Shh! Just then, the captain himself could be heard approaching along the passageway, but when he entered his cabin, there was no sign of the pig or the boy. He hung up his blue cap, yawned, and took a nap. When he was sound asleep, Jack and Goodluck crept out from underneath the bunk where there was hardly room to breathe. Jack looked around, wondering what to do next. It seemed... lost my spot. What to do next? It seemed hopeless, but he wasn't going to deliver up the porker to the cook without a battle. Leaning his bristled back against Jack's leg, the pig grunted a loud word of endearment and almost woke the captain. Jack's breath caught. Any port in a storm, he told himself, and he ran. He made a beeline toward his own cabin with Goodluck trotting along behind him. At that moment, Mountain Jim happened along the passageway, and the pig went through his bowed legs. If many gold seekers had joined in the hunt, others considered it sport to outwit the cook. Mountain Jim merely turned to give Jack a wink and went on his way. Once in his cabin, Jack stopped short. Dr. Buckbee was stretched out for a nap and snoring very loudly. Moving on his toes, Jack approached his hammock. He would wrap Goodluck in a blanket and hide him in the hammock. But when Jack turned, his breath caught again. The porker had his two front hooves on Dr. Buckbee's bunk and had leaned his head closer to see what all the snoring was about. The horse doctor awoke. He found himself staring into this strange but grunting face. Thinking he was being set upon by map robbers, for he was more asleep than he actually was awake, he began to blow on his tin alarm trumpet. Jack was horrified. The trumpeting sounded like a sick elephant. It would bring the entire ship. It's only us, Dr. Buckbee, Jack cried, but he couldn't be heard over the blare of the horn. There was no way out of the cabin but the door. There was no way out of the cabin but the door, and it was too late for that. Quickly, Jack got his arms around Goodluck, climbed on a sea chest, and tried to stuff the porker through the brass porthole. And for those of you who don't know what a porthole is, on a ship, it's those little round windows. They're not that big, and you can pop them open. You can go in and out of them. But Goodluck got stuck halfway in and halfway out. Jack put his shoulder into the job, but it was no use. You're done for now, exclaimed Jack. Praiseworthy, hearing the alarm trumpet, was first in the cabin. What's this? He said, seizing up the situation quickly. A pig in a porthole? Have you seen the cook? Asked Jack desperately. He was still pushing against the pig's fat rump. A few paces behind, said Praiseworthy, opening his black umbrella. Step aside, Master Jack. When the cook entered, together with several gold seekers, there was no pig to be seen. Praiseworthy had taken up a position directly in front of the porthole with his umbrella blocking the view. By then, Dr. Buckbee had stopped trumpeting. Robbers, he said, trying to get my map. I almost caught one of them, a big fellow with fat cheeks. A mere dream, said Praiseworthy. The cook raised his meat cleaver again. There's the boy. Where's my pig? Pig? Said Praiseworthy. What pig? He's got it. And Praiseworthy turned to Jack. Pig? Pig? Master Jack? Do turn your pockets inside out. Our chef seems to think that you have a pig about you. The gold seekers began to laugh. There's no robber in here or pig either. Come on, boys. But the cook turned at the door, squinting at Praiseworthy. It's none of my business, he said, crossing his fat arms. But do you even stand under that umbrella when you're indoors? This cabin leaks shamefully, answered Praiseworthy. But it ain't raining. One can never be too careful in these latitudes, said the butler. Good day, sir. The cook left, shaking his head, and Praiseworthy folded his umbrella. When Jack glanced back at the porthole, his eyebrows jumped an inch. The pig had vanished. Look, Jack gasped. He's gone. I do declare, said Praiseworthy in genuine surprise. Jack stuck his head through the porthole and looked around. There wasn't a soul in sight. There wasn't a soul in sight or a pig either. Jack left the cabin and ran out on deck, where he found Mountain Jim seated on an overturned barrel and playing Oh, Susanna on his mouth organ, a.k.a. a harmonica. Have you seen a black Pig, sir?" asked Jack, out of breath. "Seen him," the mountain man grinned. "Why, boy, I'm sitting on him." And he tapped the side of the barrel with his harmonica. Jack wiped the sweat off his forehead and began to smile. "Oh, thank you, Mountain Jim, sir." The porker was safe. Well, at least for the time being. "I thought I'd need bear grease to get him out of that porthole." "Sit down, Jack boy, and we'll do a bit of singing to pass the time. I'll learn you how to trap a grizzly. A boy your age needs all the educating he can get." Jack seated himself beside the mountain man on the top of the barrel. Soon he was singing to the windy accompaniment of the mouth organ, drowning out any snorts or grunts of protest from the pig. "Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. I'm going to California with my washbowl on my knee." When the cook passed, Mountain Jim lifted his yellow bobcat cap with one big hand and went on playing the harmonica with the other. After dinner and well after dark, Jack returned for the pig. A few feet away stood the small stern boat with a canvas thrown over it. He waited until the afterdeck was clear of passengers, then he lifted the barrel, gave the porker a hug, and shoved him up over the gunwale of the boat. "Done," he said, straightening out the canvas. He supposed this cat and mouse game of cook and pig was doomed, but he was certainly not giving up. "Good night and good luck," he whispered. The pig replied with a snort of true love and began scratching his back on the underside of the boat seat. Sunday passed without roast pork for dinner, and the following night the Lady Wilma anchored off the green coast of Brazil. With the coming of dawn, the side wheeler entered the channel and passed under the fortress guns of Rio de Janeiro. Praiseworthy and Jack stood on the, whatever that is, forecastle with a warm breeze snapping their trousers. It seemed to Jack that he had almost forgotten what land actually looked like. The mere sight of a hill or a distant tree excited him. And then the sunny harbor came into view, with church bells ringing out from across the water. House windows reflected the dazzling morning sun. "Homesick, Master Jack, are you?" asked Praiseworthy in a quiet voice. Jack looked up. "I wish Aunt Arabella and Constance and Sarah were here with us. But of course the gold country is no place for women and children." "It's not too late to change your mind, Master Jack." "Change my mind?" The butler rubbed the tip of his sharp nose and looked down into Jack's eyes. "Cape Horn lies ahead of us. It's a bad stretch of water. Very bad indeed, the captain tells me. The wind comes howling in like banshees, and the waves can batter a ship to splinters." "No one will think the less of you, Master Jack, if you leave the Lady Wilma here at Rio. We'll manage to get you passage back to Boston." Jack turned away from Praiseworthy's gaze and tightened his eyes against the breeze. He felt a welling up inside of him. Didn't Praiseworthy want him along with him any longer? "I'm not scared," he said finally. "Well, the thought hadn't crossed my mind. You said we were partners." "We are indeed, but I could never forgive myself if—" "Do you think we'll really get smashed to splinters?" "The Lady Wilma's a stout ship." "Do you think Captain Swain's a good master?" "None better," answered Praiseworthy. Jack looked back up into the butler's eyes. Go home? How could he go home without his pockets full of gold nuggets? "Well, then I'm going to California," the boy said. "I'm not turning back. No, sir." He wiped his nose. But if you don't want me for a partner anymore, why, I'll—" "Oh, don't talk nonsense," interrupted Praiseworthy with a sudden smile as bright as the morning. "You said exactly what I thought you would, but I had to be sure. You'll do, Master Jack, you'll do." He put a hand on the boy's shoulder, and Jack looked up. He could feel the reassuring grip of Praiseworthy's fingers. The butler winked. Jack smiled and wiped his nose again. Above them in the pilot house, Captain Swain was looking for the Sea Raven among the ships at anchor. Their masts were as thick as reeds in a pond. Many were gold ships, like the Lady Wilma herself, pausing to take on fresh water and supplies. When the customs boat came alongside, Captain Swain shouted down, "Is the Sea Raven in port, sir?" "No, Captain. She left us 5 days ago." The ship's master greeted this news with his familiar roar. "Blast! Well, we won't tarry. By grabs, we'll sail tomorrow with the outgoing tide." While the Lady Wilma took on coal and fresh provisions, the gold seekers invaded the city. There were Americans everywhere. Jack posted his letter. If he had found his sea legs, he had lost his land legs. The cobbled streets of Rio seemed to pitch and roll underneath him. Praiseworthy had to use his umbrella like a cane until the city stopped heaving about. Throughout the day, ships could be seen arriving and departing. Old friends from New Bedford or Salem or Concord met on streets thousands of miles from home. That night, when Praiseworthy and Jack returned to their ship, their arms were loaded with exotic fruits never seen at home in Boston: bananas, pineapples, guavas. When they awoke the next morning, the Lady Wilma was already setting a sea course with the outgoing tide. Jack stood at the cabin porthole and watched the city slip away, holding up its windows like mirrors to the pink dawn sky. After breakfast, Jack started for the stern boat with table scraps for good luck. Suddenly, he heard the blare of Dr. Buckbee's alarm trumpet. A moment later, the horse doctor appeared from a passageway with the trumpet at his lips, and his cheeks swelled out like apples. The noise brought passengers from every direction. "It's stolen!" Dr. Buckbee wailed, pausing for breath. "Gone!" "What's this?" said Praiseworthy, interrupting a stroll around deck. "What's gone?" "My gold map! I'm ruined!" The horse doctor gave a final wail on the trumpet. "My brother, rest his bones, posted it to me as he lay dying in California, and now it's been stolen. Gone." "Cut-Eye Higgins," said Mountain Jim. But almost at once it was discovered that Cut-Eye Higgins, too, was gone. He had been forgotten in the haste of coaling and watering the ship. And when Jack reached the afterdeck, he found that Good Luck, too, was missing. Even the small stern boat was there no more. All that remained was the canvas shaped over two empty boxes and a keg. "The scoundrel!" Captain Swain stormed. "He must have lit out last night as we lay off Rio, waiting to enter the channel. He rowed himself ashore." "Turn back," commanded Dr. Buckbee, waving his tin trumpet and going around in a circle on his peg leg. "Impossible," answered the ship's master unhappily. "Oh, then I'm ruined, sir, ruined." "Nonsense," said Praiseworthy. "I dare say there's more than one gold mine in California. You may be the first man among us to strike it rich." Jack said nothing about the pig. In the darkness and hurry of his escape, Cut-Eye Higgins must not have realized that he had a curly-tailed companion aboard the boat. Jack was sorry about Dr. Buckbee and his treasure map, but he was pleased with good luck. The thief had no doubt beached the pig with the boat. Jack watched the green coast of Brazil slip farther away and even smiled to himself. The porker was forever safe from the cook. I really like that chapter. So what's interesting is Cut-Eye Higgins jumped in the rowboat and he rowed himself to shore to get out of trouble on the boat, but he didn't realize the pig was in there too, probably didn't have time to dump him overboard or to get him back on the boat, so he just continued paddling with him. So the good news is the pig is safe from the cook, but who knows what's going to become of the pig in Rio de Janeiro. And students in the past have been kind of disappointed because we never hear about the pig ever again. So we don't know if he lives some happy porker life in Rio de Janeiro or if he becomes, bacon or a hamburger. We just don't know. Not a hamburger, bacon, pork. So that's the last we'll hear of Good Luck. I personally always like to, err on the positive side, and I'm hoping that, the porkers live in a happy life in Brazil. I also like the scene when the porker's in the porthole, and I can just imagine like the front half of the pig going out through the window with his little hooves and his booty and the little curly tail inside the cabin. I don't know why that's always just a really funny image for me. And also the image of Dr. Buckbee when he has his trumpet and he's freaking out that his map's been stolen. And that image of him on his peg leg, which is like a wooden leg, and him just going around in circles on his peg leg and freaking out and blowing his trumpet. I think that's always funny as well. A lot of people always ask me, is there a movie that goes with this? There is a movie, and it has a really weird name. It's called Bullwhip Griffin, which is weird. They changed Praiseworthy's name to Griffin in the movie. It's a Disney movie, but it was made a long time ago. It is in color. It does follow the book loosely, like probably the second half of the book is very, very different, but funny and interesting. But you know me, I'm a purist. I like it to be as close to the book as possible. So the kids always really, really enjoy the movie. I get a little frustrated that it definitely does not follow the book, especially near the end. But when we finish the book, I will send you guys a picture of what the movie looks like. And I don't know, maybe it can be picked up on Netflix or who knows? Who knows in this day and time? All right, so don't forget that you need to fill out your questions in your By the Great Hornspoon Reading Response Journal, and also you need to do your miner's log. Please be mindful of you shouldn't always be doing it from the perspective of praiseworthy or always from Jack. If you can kind of mix it up, that would be great. We will be, when we Zoom together, I will be asking some of you to share your miner's logs, so be prepared for that. And also tomorrow we're going to be reading Land of Fire. So think of, South America. We're going past Brazil. We're getting closer down to the tip. And they call it the Land of Fire because there's a whole bunch of grazing land for sheeps down there, and it gets super cold. So the sheep herders have these just ongoing fires that are lit along the coast to keep the sheep warm. So it's called Land of Fire because when you go down around the Horn, you might see, I don't think they do this anymore, you might see these big fires burning, but that's to keep the sheep warm so they don't freeze to death. So Land of Fire, and there's a big twist in Land of Fire. So supposedly we're going around the Horn, but there might be a twist, is all I have to say. For those of you in my class that are watching, don't forget to tune in today at 1 o'clock. We have an amazing writing lesson with one of my most favorite people, Miss Lori Tom. So if you're in my class, you have the Zoom invite, and I will see you at 1 o'clock. Make sure that you come with a pencil and paper because we will be writing, and you will be typing up your writing and submitting it to me. Hope you're having a great, what day of the week is it? Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. And I read somewhere online today that it's really funny when your teacher puts their eyeball up to the webcam. So here it comes. Ready? Going in. I'm scared to watch that back. All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Bye.